Hello and welcome everyone on this YouTube platform of Legacy IAS Academy. So first of all, Happy New Year to all of you. So today in this session, I'm going to discuss the India's foreign policy and its achievement in 2023. So in this session, I'm going to wrap up India's foreign policy 2023, which is considered as there are some big achievements as well as some setbacks in India's foreign policy. Okay. So, today's our title is India's foreign policy of 2023. So the most important event of 2023 is G20 Summit. Yes, this is one of the win approach for India's foreign policy as India took over the presidency of G20 in 2023, and this is considered as India's important achievement in terms of foreign policy. And India was capable to project its image as a competent player. Clear? So that is why, what was the bottom line? The bottom line of this summit was that India succeeded up to various extent, and also the most important issue that India managed to hammer out a consensus on Ukraine. The background was Russia-Ukraine war. Getting my point? So there are various outcomes of this G20 summit. Clear? So in terms of G20 summit, India project itself as a capable player in 2023, and also India tried to showcase its valuable intentions. For example, India mentioned about three important things in terms of G20 summit. Like, first of all, the most important thing was the issue of climate change. The issue of climate change. Another important thing, the issue of reforms in World Bank. Reforms in World Bank as well as debt relief. Now, apart from this, India also helped African Union to become a permanent member of G20. So with this, African Union, which became a permanent member in G20. Okay. So now, so in this manner, we can say India tried to raise the voice of Global South. India became a voice of Global South. So India became a voice of Global South. So this is one of the very big achievement in terms of India's foreign policy. Now, another achievement in terms of India's foreign policy is Prime Minister Modi and President Joe Biden summit. This is considered as a landmark event when Prime Minister Modi visited America in June 2023, and it was a big deal. Now, how it was a big deal? Because India and US, they pushed through a deal on F-414 fighter jet engine, along with this deals on drones as well as armored vehicles, which was expected. Clear? And apart from this, new investment in terms of semiconductors and new technologies. Now this summit shows that India and US relations are not only limited to ally partnership, but more than that. Here, India-US relations should not be understood in the contrast of China conflict. Getting my point? So, in this manner, America is India's consequential partner in terms of foreign policy. So, this is considered as one of the biggest achievement in terms of India's foreign policy. Now, another important achievement in terms of India's foreign policy, that is Chandrayaan. Okay, we cannot forget this achievement which showcased India's soft power in global arena. Now, Chandrayaan 3 moon landing is a scientific achievement of India, scientific achievement of our scientists, our space organization, that is ISRO, and it also had benefited of helping all. Now it actually altered India's image, and India's image boosted as a soft power. As you can see, these many examples, like the news was there in Pakistan newspaper, that is Dawn, and the Washington Post, and various other global newspapers of the world. Clear? Now, another achievement in terms of India's foreign policy, that is related to connectivity. That is I am India Middle East Economic Corridor. Getting my point? This is one of the important achievement in terms of India's foreign policy. Now, this is very important as it will boost India's image to become a competent global trading partner. And this will also counter Chinese project, that is One Belt, One Road Corridor, and it will connect India to Europe through Middle East. As you can see the route from Mumbai, Gujarat, then this port of UAE, and then these locations in Saudi Arabia, and then Israel, Haifa port is very important, and then Greece. That is why PM Modi also visited Greece. Okay, and he was the first prime minister after 1980, such a long time period. So India Greece also shared historical relations since the time period of Alexander, and before that you can say civilizational relations. Getting my point? So this is one of the most important achievement in terms of India's foreign policy, and this will help in terms of India's economic position, economic engagements. And this is one of the most important port connectivity project, infrastructural project, to counter China's CPEC as well. Getting my point? So this is very important. Now, another achievements, that is Globe Trotter. Yes. Now, you must be thinking, why Globe Trotter? So let me tell you. Now, the reason behind this Globe Trotter is that India continued to expand its diplomatic missions with other countries, as Prime Minister Modi visited Greece. Getting my point? Prime Minister Modi visited Greece and became the first PM to go there since the 1980s. Another achievement, our external affairs minister, that is Jayanagara, visited, and he also swept across Latin America and Africa in the effort to recharge the ties with these regions. Clear? Because of distant geography, India is having limited connectivity with Latin American countries, and especially the connectivity with Brazil is there. So that is why India's focus is on to increase the air connectivity with Latin America. Another important thing, increase FDIs, investments Indian companies should invest there, because Latin America also has huge potential that can become a market for India's product. Getting my point? Now, what is the most important hurdle between India and Latin America ties? Language. Getting my point? See, China has already captured Latin America's market, then we can say that language is not a barrier. Geography is not a barrier. Getting my point? The only thing that we need is connectivity. Clear? So this Latin America is also one of the most important reason for India's foreign policy in terms of resources, in terms of market, in terms of investment. Clear? Now the setbacks. Yes, there are various setbacks in terms of India's foreign policy. Now, as you can see this image, the first setback is the K word in 2023, because various India's diplomatic missions were attacked by a group called as Khalistani group in 2023. Now this Khalistani group, okay, now the attack on UK mission in US, okay, and various you will see that various senior political and diplomats, uh, various accusations have been imposed on them, that the attacks, okay, the motivation of these attacks because India's rising image. Clear? So there are various diplomatic missions of India, okay, who became the victim of these pro-Khalistani attacks in 2023. Clear? Another important setback of India's foreign policy, that is spy scandal. Okay, and he's the pro-Khalistani leader, that is Panno, and accusations of India's involvement. Various accusations have been made that India is involved in plotting assassinate pro-Khalistani leader or pro-Khalistani other figures that have been an unwelcome distraction. So various allegations are imposed on senior political and diplomatic figures in a number of countries like America, and they have expressed their concern at the allegations. Now, is it likely to, do you think that it is because to derail the ties of India with Australia, UK, or United States of America? Not really. Getting my point? See, because of India's rising image, but still these attacks raised an awkward question on India's ties with America as well as US and Australia. So now in 2024, India needs to handle these challenges with sensitivity. Getting my point? Now, another important challenge, Israel Hamas conflict. Yes. Now, the background of this conflict was that Israel was about to sign the peace agreement with Saudi Arabia, who were the rival partners. And if that agreement would have signed, then India's challenge in Middle East, okay, would have been over up to some extent, because today India have to balance its foreign policy with Islamic countries as well as Israel, Jewish country. Getting my point? So the conflict between Israel and Hamas has been unwelcome news for India. So prior to October 7 attacks on Israel, which killed around 1200 people, and Israel had been moving towards a diplomatic normalization with a major powers like Saudi Arabia. अगर ऐसा हो जाता, then it would have been easy for India, okay, to maintain its ties, not to balance its ties in the Middle East. But now, as Israel has become the, as you can say, unfamous player in Middle East because of its defense strikes, okay, now in the more challenges are there in terms of India's foreign policy, that India needs to balance its ties with Middle East countries as well as Israel, that is Islamic countries and Israel. Getting my point? So this is also one of the challenge. Another important challenge which was considered as a setback, that is China. Now how China? Because the border crisis with China is now in the 4th year with no resolution, and also the two countries have clashed at G20, as well as both the countries, they have clash of interest over the expansion of BRICS. And then the Chinese spy ship in Indian Ocean, which became a concern for India, that is with from the perspective of Sri Lanka. Clear? So overall, if you see, no improvement in terms of India China relations. Now let's see what is going to be there in 2024. Getting my point? Now, another important setback in terms of India's foreign policy, that is Maldives. Yes. Now, as we know that President Ibrahim Soli, who was the former president of Maldives, and we can say that with President Ibrahim Soli, India was having a very good relation, cordial relations. Clear? And because of his loss in election in Maldives, India lost his bid for re-elections to Mohammad Muizzu. Now, Muizzu, who belongs to an India skeptic wing, okay, we can say that his foreign policy is somehow pro-China. Getting my point? And his government has asked India to withdraw its troops from the country. Though these things are temporary, but still India needs to look Maldives closely. Getting my point? So his government will also not renew a hydrography agreement with India, which was signed with his this previous government. Getting my point? So this was signed with the previous government. So neither PM Modi nor Dr. Jayanagara, they traveled to Maldives in 2023 and also for his inauguration. And that is why these things are temporary in foreign policy. Getting my point? These things are not permanent. But these things are temporary phase in bilateral issues, but still it deserves to be watched closely. Getting my point? So these are the various important setbacks in terms of India's foreign policy in 2023. Okay, so I hope this much is clear to all of you, and this is helpful for all the students for UPSC civil services examination, as well as those who are preparing for this interview. Getting my point? So for everyone, these issues and important achievements of India's foreign policy in 2023, very important. Thank you so much.